Pedro, go ahead. Yes, it was all set, all perfect. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just wanted to welcome you all to today's webinar. This is a webinar that's sponsored by Atrevo, Everynet, Outlooks, Rise Energy, and Beehive, who are founding members of the Tower Automation Alliance. And we're very happy that we're bringing everyone on board for today's session. It's sort of a kickoff of this fantastic project called the Tower Automation Alliance. And as I was mentioning, and sorry for the inconveniences, today's session is about monetization opportunities for telecom towers, and it's probably one of the hottest topics in the industry as well. Just how to streamline revenue from towers and from passive infrastructure. So without further ado, let's jump in on today's agenda. So we'll start and kick off this session by introducing the Alliance, briefly introducing the Alliance and stressing the value of automation for towers. This is part of the session that will be hosted by Luis del Valle. Then we will move on to tower asset monitoring and how to monetize passive infrastructure by Antonio Terlizzi from Everynet. Then we'll jump on securitizing towers and everything that's related to security use cases and infrastructure security for telecom towers and how to improve efficiency remotely. Then we'll move to greening the network strategies, successful strategy, by the way, to reach net zero emissions. Then we'll finally jump on to technology, hot technology, that's autonomous drones, and how to digitize towers by using autonomous drones and create revenue from digital twins. And then we'll wrap up the webinar with quick Q&A part of the session. So a little housekeeping comments right before we start the webinar. Obviously, try to reduce as much as possible your chances of buffering by closing any app that might be getting into the way of the connection. A lot of people ask us if the webinar is being recorded, and if you'll get the recording after the session. And yes, this is being recorded and being streamed live on YouTube as well. So whether you join here or join on the YouTube channel, you'll be receiving the recording afterwards. Regarding questions, well, there's no need to wait for the end to ask questions. Just shout out once as soon as you have them. There's a Q&A section in the room, so we have a couple of people in the team trying to moderate and answer those questions as much as possible and as many as possible. And if there are a lot of questions that remain for the Q&A section, then we'll leave the room for the speakers to publicly address them. And obviously, there's also social media. So if you see that anything that's interesting and you want to share that on Twitter and LinkedIn, use the hashtag monetizeTAA2021. Okay, so a quick roundup on today's speakers. We have Luis del Valle Aleman. He's the Chief Revenue Officer of Atrevo, and he'll be opening up this session. We'll also be joined by Antonio Terlizzi, Senior Vice President and Head of Global Sales of Everynet. Ofer Eish from Outlooks. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Israeli company. He's also joining us today. He'll be discussing everything that has to do with infrastructure security. We're also happy to have Blanca de la Fuente from Rise Energy. She's the Telecom's Energy Transition Lead. And we also have Rupert Chappell. He's Sales Director of Telecom from Beehive. This is today's panel for the first Tower Automation Alliance live webinar on how to monetize towers and the plenty of opportunities that come with automation solutions for the tower industry. Okay, so this is the first session of today. Luis will be introducing the value of automation for telecom towers. So Luis, the floor is yours. Please feel free to share your screen as soon as you want.
Thank you, Pedro. Let me just share my screen. Okay, there it goes. I hope you can see my screen now. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about what this alliance is about and how, or what is our plan to work all together in line, define how we can create value and monetize the towers, and also reduce costs on the same time. It might sound like conflict, but I think there's room for also save or gain savings for the mobile network operators at the same time. This is of our purpose. We've been in this industry for 10 years. We are very much specialized with, basically specialized on the niche market of the telco infrastructure, and more specifically in the tower arena. So we are hearing from our clients that the main challenges nowadays are how they can get the data they need for their operations. So there are a number of technologies around that seem to be mature, that maybe there's much more talking about these new technologies than realities or projects. And also, even those projects in many cases are more for the sake of testing the new technology than business oriented. And we also found that some of the players in this arena have a lack, in most of the cases have a lack of data. That we also are finding some clients that are starting to receive too much information on their operations, and now this is becoming a problem because it's somehow hard to handle. And there's a big question mark across of how you monitor your remote sites. So what could be the best practices? Our approach is 100% hands-on. So these are very theoretical questions, but we want to touch base, and our aim is to create, by means of this Tower Automation Alliance, a forum where we can start defining and identifying these potential savings and these problems. But we don't want to have them on a very high or generic level. So please share your own real challenges here on the chat, and we would like to have a clear understanding on a specific issues and challenges, and our aim is trying to work on them together, vendors, MNOs, towerCos, and trying to really come up with tangible solutions. Okay, so what we are trying to do is find or we are already implementing some good practices with some clients, and this is something that we are open to share. But we also like to learn from others' experience, and again, these new technologies that are already available, like digital twin, like IoT, artificial intelligence, real augmented reality, and so forth. We found that I think we all in the industry feel they can bring lots of benefits, but I don't think we still found the right way to implement them. And I think one of the key points is having a turnkey solution, so that these solutions are really integrated as part of the overall processes, and are not just a specific solution for one specific department or area, that I think they can be also be more beneficial. And so the return of investment can be much more justified if we find ways to make them cross-departmental. So we think that it's not just about digitalizing the process or making use of these new technologies, but it has to really be sensible. So and that will be hopefully the way to create real useful automation, so not just for the sake of technology, as I mentioned. And these should normally help us come up with new revenue streams, both for the towerCos and saving costs for the MNO. So this is what we had in mind when we started creating this project that is today. So the thing is that we want to create the value from a holistic approach and try to come up from these isolated technical trials that we know that have been running here and there, and turn them into more efficiency and bring efficiency that we understand that basically to the overall organization. So number one, we want to start identifying these pain points. So please set your challenges and your issues, if you will, and we want to, based on that, define very specific use cases and figuring out altogether really factual solutions to these problems. And the results would be not just a conversation, but a real test on a real environment. So this is what we're trying to achieve as well altogether. So gathering all these different inputs from all these different technologies, generate smart processes oriented on solving these pain points and issues, and provide interoperability and exchange information and make some effective workflows to maximize all this data that should be collected. And in the end, this should be reflected in reducing operational costs and receive higher levels of control and in the end. So just to make it or to ramp up, and I finish with this, I think is getting better data should allow us to lower the cost, and all these integrations that we are facilitating with our open platform and the creation of a single source of truth and the automation in the end should reflect the creation of new revenue streams for the tower companies and dramatic savings for the operators. And this is the overall aim. So it's not about technology, it's about how we use it and how we can in the end monetize these new technologies. So that was all from my side. Thank you. I'm much looking forward to your comments.
Thank you, Luis, for your presentation. Let me share the. Well, Tony, you can share your screen as well. Thank you for your time, Luis, and welcome Tony to the floor. Antonio Terlizzi, Senior Vice President and Head of Global Sales of Everynet. He'll be jumping into everything related to tower asset monitoring. Tony, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you, Pedro. Thank you for organizing this wonderful webinar. And thank to all the attendees. My name is Antonio Terlizzi. I'm heading sales in Everynet. Who is Everynet today? EveryNet today is one of the largest, actually is the largest LoRaWAN neutral host network operator. We have currently 10 active national rollouts. The latest one we announced a couple of weeks ago is in the US. Together with Castle, we started with Puerto Rico, covering Puerto Rico, and now we are going to cover 35 major metropolitan areas. We started our journey with Brazil in partnership with American Tower Corporation. Then we moved to Europe. We are covering right now Spain together with Telxius at the beginning. Now Telxius has been acquired by American Tower Corporation. So again, American Tower Corporation will be also our partner in the European market. We Cellnex, the largest European tower company. We are deploying networks in Italy, United Kingdom, and Ireland. In Iceland, we're deploying with Lizier, and in Andorra with Andorra Telecom. Last but not least, we have a partnership with Telkom Indonesia, and we are rolling out a network in Indonesia. So as you can see, our partners are telecoms or tower companies. We develop these networks in a technology that is called LoRaWAN, that stands for long range and low power. All the sensor and devices are mainly connected to the network, and they are all battery powered. The battery may last 5 or even 10 years, and even more depending on the usage. So it's a kind of technology that connect simple devices that send data every 5 to 10 minutes, data that can be of any kind, temperature, humidity, a value of consumption, and so on and so forth. All the technology is developed in-house. We have a 24/7 network operation center that control the network deployed all over the globe. And our CTO was the co-author of the LoRaWAN specification. This technology now is at the mature level and mature stage. We have in the LoRa Alliance more than 500 members, big names like Bosch, Schneider, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. All these guys are part of the LoRa Alliance. So one of the questions is, okay, but why do we need a smart tower? Why do we need a digitized tower? Well, basically because we want to make two things. We want to make money and we want to save money. How can we make money? Well, because we can create additional revenue streams. The tower company and the telcos can create new services to offer to their client. From the other side, they can also have internal use cases through which they can reduce operational cost. And then we have topics regarding worker safety and security. So to make sure that the people going in the site and working around the site are in a secure environment. And also if something wrong happened, thanks to the opportunity to check live the events in the site, we have a very fast time to respond to incidents. How can we digitalize a tower? Well, basically, in one way, providing sensors, putting sensors in all different crucial parts of the towers, of the ground floor. Starting, let's say, from the top, we can have sensors that can measure wind speed, humidity, temperature, motion and vibration of the tower. Why do we need that? Well, because we need to check which is the microclimate, the micro weather around the tower in order to make sure that once we send the installation crew, there are all the safe conditions for them, for example, to climb the tower and install a new gateway, new battery, or to make some maintenance activity. We would like also to check through sensors the presence on the site, access control, people counting, motion sensor of any kind, also opening and closing of doors or cabinets. We want also to monitor the energy consumption or the fuel level consumption to make sure that from one side, we are capable to still provide energy to the site. If something wrong happens, we can intervene. But we can also check moisture and leak. as well as corrosion protection. Last but not least, we can check the assets around the tower, maybe the most valuable assets, to make sure that they are all at the right place, nobody is stealing or moving them. We can check any kind of consumption, could be gas, could be water, could be energy, could be fuel, and as well as cable tampering. All this data will go to the cloud where we can ingest them and, of course, create several actions regarding to the data that we are going to collect. So how can we utilize all these sensors on the tower? Well, basically, we can create different clusters of solutions and applications. I've put here 3 different clusters. One is about safety on the job. So we want to make sure that the area is safe for our workers. If something wrong happens, a worker can send, for example, an SMS, or before climbing a tower, we check the weather condition and we send the crew only if everything is set and is safe. We can monitor all our valuable assets, for example, power generator, battery, cabinets, door opening and closing. As well, we can measure the consumption. Let's jump into the first use case. Again, is safety of the workers. Again, to send the crew costs a lot of money. And if we make sure that the weather condition exactly on that side, exactly on that tower, are met, we can send the crew to perform the daily activity. So we have to check different things like temperature and humidity, presence of ice, if there is too much wind on the top, for example, of the tower, or if the tower is a certain inclination and there is the risk of fall. From the other side, once the crew is in, or the workers are in, we can track them, we can check when they arrive, when they leave. If something happened wrongly, they can push simply a button and they can send an SOS, or we can have also a man-down sensor that basically is alerting if somebody is falling down and is staying quiet for a long time. The second use case is about asset metering, asset monitoring. We may have different tenants on the same sites, and we can measure the main power generator, but as well as a single item that is installed at ground level, but also on the tower, on the site. We can check battery level, power loss. So with the power loss detection, of course, we can intervene real time to make sure that everything will go up and running again. We can connect alarm. We can control from remote the equipment and eventually make a rebooting. And we can even check by putting sensors on valuable assets, if somebody is moving those assets, if somebody is stealing assets like batteries and base stations. The last cluster of use cases is about site monitoring. We want to make sure that the site is in a healthy condition. What does it mean? That if there was a heavy rain, we can detect if there is water still, so water leakage, flooding detection, if there is any kind of fire, degree of corrosion on the steel. We can even monitor the control room, temperature, humidity, CO2, checking presence of people, intrusion detection, if somebody not allowed is coming into the site, as well as opening and closing of cabinets and shelter, maybe from people that are not the one that should do that. Finally, also the noise level monitoring can give us a lot of indication about people presence, about intrusion detection, and about wind speed. So in an essence, why tower company are right now moving already or should move to this digital transformation with embracing IoT is because they are already smart. They are data-driven. They are more agile than in the past. With the real-time visibility and real-time monitoring of the assets and the people, they can for sure increase their operational efficiency by planning maintenance visit on regular way when is needed, with a cost saving of up to 25%. By checking the telco equipment on site, they can even assure revenue by increasing up to 20% the revenue, identifying assets that maybe in the past were not there. So to make sure that the customer, the telco, is built accordingly. Then energy monitoring, energy management is very important in order to make efficiency and to save cost. And with an IoT solution that can provide services to third parties, such as telcos, maintenance services, asset monitoring of any kind, and also the automatization of the access control to make sure that they can allow people from third party to enter into the site without all the different and long processes that are in place right now. So there are benefits both for tower companies, but also for the customers of the tower company. They can monetize from the monitoring of the tower. They can even improve the asset lifespan. As I said before, reduce maintenance cost, reduce mean time for resolution, having this real-time alerting, and reduce also environmental impact, which are the benefit for the customers, because now they have full visibility of all the assets they have deployed on site, so they can intervene when something is going wrong, they can prevent losses, they can reduce downtime, and they can increase security on the site. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Any question, feel free to post it online or offline. Pedro,
thank you, Tony. Thank you for the presentation. Actually, we do have some questions for Antonio. We'll leave for the Q&A section. But thank you very much for your time. Now it's Offer turn. Thank you, Offer, for sharing your screen, and welcome to the floor.
Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you very much, Pedro and Tower Automation Alliance for this opportunity, and for everybody that attend this webinar. It's wonderful to see so many people coming to hear about this wonderful alliance. So also thank you for Trebo to initiating this alliance, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I speak a bit. My name is Ofer. I should have said I'm the CEO of Outlooks, and I will focus on this topic of monetization of what we are doing. We are focused on outdoor access control, and especially we'll speak about towerCos this time. We are not going to speak about return on investment of having an outdoor access control, but truly about two models to get money from clients and for good services, of course. So give me 1 second. So overall, what I present you is based on more than a few clients that we have in the area of telecom, towerCos, and operator. And we define these models, part of the model were defined with specifically with the towerCos managers. So when we look on telecom towers, what's really the issue when we come to security? I think there are three elements, and when we come later on to access management, there are three elements. One is the physical security. A tower stand out there. If they don't have Antonio Ethernet system, so and most of the towers does not have, it's neglected out there and subject to the mercy of the people that coming in, or the people around that will try break in. And when you have a valuable asset inside the tower, it's becoming quite a risk of losing. So first of all is physical cyber security, breaking in, vandalism either of the lock itself or the property inside, and of course hacking, and it can come even to a situation of cybersecurity issues. Nevertheless, there is all the issue of control. Towers today, most of the tower doesn't know what's going on in the tower. People coming in, people go out, the door status is not clear. And the only thing it sometimes is when someone pick a key and either drop back a key. Unless you invest as a tower company, you invest in putting cameras and intrusion detection and alarm system, etc. But it can be very expensive, especially you need to put to have maintenance and the capital investment. So there need to be a very good reason to invest in such of equipment to increase the level of security. What we looked at is, first of all, to make sure that who are only authorized people will get in, like any access management control, who enter, when and where. So we'll have a real-time reporting on the door status, who get out, the name, and the ability to identify the person. Monitoring abnormal activities. For example, in the middle of the night, subcontractor get to the tower because he has a permission, but why he is doing it, if no reason. So we should have a system that can monitor abnormal activity. And of course, when it comes to the things that happen, God forbid, it's the ability to have a good investigation. Who was the last person that was there? Who are the people that visited the site, sometimes a few days before that was a threat. And this is something that it's sometimes cumbersome with the current tools that tower companies and operators have to get all the information in instant way. One of the major things that we found out that access control is creating is reducing the inside job. Inside job is a situation where the employees or the subcontractor of the operator are actually taking part in the theft or in the break-in. They are, let's say, leaving the door open or helping others to take some equipment, or they take by themselves. The common statistic is that in tower companies and in telecom in general, 40 to 60% of the theft of the general loss from this site is account for 40 to 60% of the total loss. And by reducing it, you can create a very, very quick return on investment. As I said, I didn't go into focus on this, but remember this: when someone knows that it very easily can be tracked and find out who were there, it creates immediately the understanding among the staff that I can be tracked, I shouldn't do it, and we have a very good experience with this. And the last point is productivity. When you have to cross today mega cities in Europe or in South America, Asia, etc., that can take a lot of time. You want to have a flexible and responsive organization. You want to be able that your tenants will be able to come very quickly and fix a down antenna or a problem with the substation. You don't want to be in a situation that it takes 2, 3, 4 hours that the tower is down. So by using a system that it's a virtual system, you can be very responsive and increase flexibility. This is in general. It is not talking about specifically how you're monetizing, but it's what tower can benefit by having an access control system. So over the time, we developed a system that we developed a real-time outdoor system, access management system that adds 3 elements. One is access management system that, like any other, that you have site, locks, department, etc. And the other hand, you have the locks themselves, and you create the authorization. Of course, the outdoor locking unit needs to be robust, heavy duty, something that stand there for more than 2-3 years and with no maintenance, almost no maintenance. This is what we were looking, and this is what we defined. Of course, when it comes to the inside of the tower, the substation, you want to have also to be able to increase security by having a concealed lock. And later on, I will explain why why the towerCo it can be a source of benefit. And of course, the Y key, the app that will operate the logs and make all the communication to the server. Since I cannot show you a movie, but you can go to our website. There are two elements, main elements in typical tower. One is the log that at the gate that belong to the tower company. And then there is the substation and the shelter, as you can see. I want you to remember that what I showed you here, this is log that is a concealed log. And later on, when I speak how to monetize some services here, remember this log that is concealed, and it's increased dramatically the security of the shelter. Of course, tower companies, if they don't want to put in the site either cameras or intrusion detection system or whatever it be, want to know what's the situation in the tower. If the tower is closed and nobody there, if it's busy, or someone forget to close the doors. You see here, there is a red dot showing that this site was left open. And this is the security the tower is supposed to give to their tenant to make sure that the gate is closed. And
sorry, you have 1 minute, sorry.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'm running. Okay, so when you increase the productivity, you can see where you can give a very high flexibility to your client. So when we are looking on general towerCo, we can increase the productivity of our client, and we increase the security of our clients. They can know who enter in the site. What we offer two programs. One is very simple program. By using the system, you charge the client. We found out that people are willing, subcontractor are willing to give $1 for every entrance. You create a billing system and you charge by entrance to the site, and the system can provide you. The other program is much more interesting. The other program is a situation where the towerCo rent locking device to their clients, in a way to the tenants, and give them a platform. I will skip here a minute and I will go to this model that we created with one of the largest telcos. This is a situation that a towerCo having a platform, access management platform that we provide. Each one of the tenant has its own section, independent, and nobody can see it, and they can operate who access to their site. So the towerCo in charge of the gate, while the operator in charge of the cabinets or the shelters. So let's say you have a subcontractor that want to get to fix something in the shelter of Orange. He send a request to Orange to get to the site. Then the supervisor at Orange approve him. Immediately when we're using this platform, the tower provide also an access. The technician get to the site, and as entrance, he got a virtual key on his mobile app to the gate and to the cabinet of Orange. And everything is monitored, as I told you. So the cabinet is typically will be with conceal lock, the gate will be with padlock. All this developing, all this platform for your clients, ability to control who gets in, who gets out, you can charge the client for these services that you provide them, both the locking device and the platform to manage the access to their cabinets or shelter in the towers. Sorry, it was very short, but if you have any question, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ofer. Thank you for your presentation and your valuable time and insights. Well, now it's Blanca de la Fuente's turn. She's telecom transition energy lead at Rise Energy, and she'll be presenting a successful strategy on how to green the network.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pedro. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And sorry, let me start my video also. Right. Okay, right. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Pedro and the Tower Alliance for having me here today. I'm going to be touching on this greening the network trendy topic that a lot of people are talking about today. I would like to be very clear, this is not, in terms of monetization, it's not a new revenue stream that you're creating. It's more about saving costs and optimizing the OPEX structure in your sales site, and then utilizing those funds for any other usage that might be much more useful than actually in that huge OPEX structure that you currently have. Right. Right. So first of all, a brief intro on Rise Energy. So we are a decentralized renewable energy company. We have over 4,000 installations across the 7 continents. And we are prime manufacturers of our wind technology, ranging from 3 to 60 kilowatts. So we are in the space of small wind technology. So forget about those huge wind turbines that are in the megawatt range. We're in the kilowatt range. Now, what we do with our wind turbines, we either install them standalone or we hybridize them with solar PV and battery storage. And we create these hybrid systems that look a little bit like microgrids and that are feeding an off-grid or on-grid load in this case. And for this application, we're talking about cell sites, telecom towers. Now, these solutions, we also package them into containers, and we have what we call the sustainable resilient units, which are actually just a 20 or 40 feet container, where we package everything out and you basically just move with your portable unit wherever that power requirement is needed. And lastly, we have a global servicing team that does all the commissioning, installation, and operation and maintenance if needed. We focus across 3 areas. So first of all, it's community power, where there is energy poverty. The second one, which is where the telecoms industry fits in, it's all about displacing fossil fuel in remote locations. And the third one is providing clean energy for commercially driven markets. So this is normally companies that see the benefits of renewable energy and that call us to see how we can help them and support them with their sustainability programs. Right, so now diving more into the topic, and before we look at the topic closely, let's just take a step back and understand where this greening the network comes from and why has it become so trendy lately. So first of all, if you look at the market, there's clear trends that we see. First of all is that network technology is evolving at a very fast pace. And this is driven by consumers like us that have very high expectations and that are very demanding. And this normally comes hand in hand with a greater site power demand and availability, which is bringing very aggressive KPIs, especially in terms of availability. Sometimes we talk with MNOs that have and towerCos that have power availabilities of KPIs of 99.9%, which is huge. So, right, how do you survive and thrive in this fast-growing environment? Now looking closely at the telecoms industry. So there's a series of industry imperatives that we've identified after talking with a lot of clients. And the first one is a lot of them are looking for stable and leaner site OPEX structures to support that demanding growth. And the second one is that they need clean power now inserted into their energy mix. So back in the days, it used to be, a nice to have. Today, it's no longer a nice to have. It's no longer corporate wallpaper. It's part of their plans, part of their strategy. And this is going to be, a decisive point in the future if that's not part of your strategy. So, right, now that we understand where this comes from, let's look at how we go about, putting this initiative into place. So the first thing that we need to know is that it's important to know why we do what we do. So why do we want to green the network? And after having several conversations with clients, there's a trend that says that clients, their ultimate goal is to be in control of their destiny. So let me give you a very clear example. In Spain recently, they've increased the price of electricity by 50%. And they're asking, the government is asking citizens to do their laundry at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? This is obviously not sustainable for a business. And this is the opposite of being in control of your own destiny. So companies, what they're looking to create a resilient and healthy business model where they are in control of their sales side power. And they don't want to be subject to the fluctuations of fuel prices or electricity prices. So all this process of setting a strategy and setting a roadmap to reach that strategy is the design phase of this entire greening the network approach. The second one would be to basically take that strategy, scope it down, budget it, and then create a very detailed implementation plan on what you're going to do. Once you have that clear, you go ahead and you roll that plan across your entire portfolio of towers. Now, in terms of greening the network, in RISE, we always talk about bringing alternative sources of energy into your energy mix. And that is introducing wind, introducing solar, battery storage, combination of everything. So one thing that we always recommend our clients is to put a pilot in place. So while you're designing and building your plan, it's important that you choose one of those expensive sites that are giving you a big headache in terms of OPEX costs, and that obviously have big CO2 emissions, and try to implement this new technology, this new plan at a mini scale, and start to gather data and see what the benefits of your plan are. And because this is something that you're going to use for your leadership in order to get buy-in from them and support your plan. So this is what I'm going to focus in the next slides. It's basically taking a theoretical business case and taking it from business case to use case. So a clear example of what we do is this. This was an example that we did with a client where in Southeast East Spain, this was a very expensive site that was running 24/7 on diesel. And so the client wanted to cut the OPEX as much as possible. So what we did is so the first thing that we did an energy resource assessment. So we analyzed the amount of energy that could be produced by the wind speed and the solar radiation available in those geo coordinates. So the first thing that we did is we inserted solar PV and battery storage. And then in a second phase, we inserted a wind turbine, and then we analyzed the global resource. So the first thing to analyze is that when you insert these two technologies, and this is what really makes it a good combination, and you really see that they're complementary, solar PV and wind technology, is that they're complementary not only throughout the season. So as you can see, the solar production goes up in the summer and the wind production goes up in the winter, making the sum of these two curves, so the sum of the power of the energy, renewable energy production, stay as close as possible to the power consumption of the site. So what is this going to give you? The less time you need to turn on your diesel generator or go to your grid power as a source of energy, the cheaper that is going to be for you in terms of OPEX costs. And so that's where you see that these two energies are actually complementary throughout the seasons and also throughout the day, because you normally have more sun. Well, you have sun only during the day, and then you have wind normally more during the nighttime. So that's what really balances your system out. In terms of the economics of the site, initially the site was running and burning purely diesel. Then we inserted PV, solar PV and battery storage. We managed already to reduce in a great amount the cost, the OPEX costs. And then finally, it's really when we introduced the wind factor and got as near as possible to that consumption curve, is when we managed to reduce the OPEX costs drastically. That is all from my side. I can take any questions or give it to the next speaker.
Thank you, Blanca. If you prefer, we'll leave the questions for the Q&A section. We also have some questions popping up as well for you. So,
okay, great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Rupert Chappell from Beehive. Thank you for also sharing your screen, and welcome to the floor as well.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rupert and I fly drones. I joined Beehive 6 months ago, and it's the first time in a 20-year career in the telecom industry that my parents understand what I do for a living. There are many use cases for drones, from delivering wedding rings to newlyweds to supporting search and rescue missions. But today I'm here to talk to you about why drones in the telecoms market, and importantly, why now? Beehive is the only software solution that enables enterprises to deploy autonomous drone hives to create digital twins of their assets to support better business and operational decisions. The strength of the platform is found in 3 areas. The first is autonomy. So you don't require expert drone pilots to carry out surveys. These can be conducted with relative ease and some basic training by existing field operations. The second is versatility. So we support planning for a number of tower structures, from monopole to guy-wire and lattice, but also planning surveys and more complex rooftop surveys. And number 3 is scalability. So the combination of autonomous flight and using low-cost off-the-shelf drones means that we're providing a cost-effective way for towerCos to roll out a digitization program across their whole asset portfolio. Now, the term digital twin is not a new one, and it means different things to different people, but the technology is maturing and it's really scaling at a rapid pace across the inventory. And Beehive has established quite a strong position in the market by working with some of the largest telcos in the world. So why drones? What are the use cases? So on the left-hand side, this will be a familiar image to a lot of you in the towerco market. And this is the traditional way that tower inspections are carried out. So having 2 people on site, taking measurements of the compounds, taking manual measurements on the tower. You can see the gentleman climbing the tower. He has his tape measure attached to his belt, and he has a digital camera that he'll be using to sort of lean out and take images of inventory. We feel there's a more efficient and safer way of capturing data, and that's using autonomous drones. This is an image of me actually on site for a recent demo in the UK. And you can see how the drone has captured the image of a tower climber, capturing an image of some inventory. So really the goal here is not to replace climbers, or not until a drone can test the torque of a bolt or install an antenna. The goal here is really to take that inspection to the next level and provide field technicians with drones to use as just another tool in their toolkit. So that's the technology side. What are the goals, and why are we using drones in tower inspection? The first is to better capture revenue, is to really understand what is on that tower. We've been surprised when comparing what's been captured visually using a drone against what is on a billing databases and asset management systems. We've been surprised to find the number of discrepancies. And these variations have a direct impact on a towerco's ability to properly monetize their assets. Thinking about new revenue opportunities. So we're identifying what is on the tower today, but also what is not on the tower. So thinking about passive infrastructure, underutilized mount space that can be identified and shared with third parties to try and increase those tenancy ratios, which are so important to towercos today. Reducing field operations costs. And this really comes down to reducing the number of truck rolls to each site and streamlining those operations. So introducing those drones into those workflows. So if subcontractors are on site doing a preventative maintenance, they can also use that drone as part of that site visit and capture that assets and inventory on the asset and any faults that they're finding as well. Consistent data, and this is where autonomy really comes into play. It doesn't matter if I'm doing a drone flight in Finland or Guatemala. The drone will fly in exactly the same manner. So it's really providing consistent data. And once that data is uploaded to the platform, anyone in the world can access that data really within a matter of hours. Touching on faster approvals of sites. So this is really thinking about new 5G site builds. What would happen before, and I've spoken to a number of contractors who remember driving around numerous sites with heavy equipment or cherry pickers to try and establish the line of sight and capture images of what that tower will look like in situ. So a more effective and efficient way of doing that is using a drone, sending the drone up in a short flight, capturing a 360 visualization of the tower, which can then be shared with third parties to understand how that site will look. And of course, increasing the speed to get the approvals. And finally, and most importantly, improving employee safety. And fundamentally, that comes down to reducing the need for climbers to scale these structures. So what is the process? So the idea is that we take data and we provide insights. So we start with setting up the missions. So we do this on the vHive platform with some basic parameters for the towers. Once the field operations are on site, they can then select the mission and send up one drone or a hive of drones to capture the images. Now, what's the benefit in using a hive of drones? Well, the system will automatically and dynamically split the mission between, let's say, two drones, effectively halving the time in the field. And if you're thinking that a normal data capture is about 30 to 40 minutes, you can really sort of show the efficiencies that it can bring. So the drone will go to the waypoints, which you can see on the screen as the blue squares, and it will capture images. If the battery is low, it will return home. You can do a hot swap on the battery. The drone then automatically resumes that flight. So we don't refer to us requiring drone pilots, it's more drone operators because you are just standing there holding the controller. Once those images have been captured, they're uploaded to the vHive platform. And this is where we process the data. And using photogrammetry, we create 3D photorealistic digital twins. And this can be used by the engineering team for measurements, for annotations, and they can really work with within a 3D environment and look at inspecting 2D images. The next phase is then to overlay AI and computer vision algorithms onto that structure to really make sense of everything that's found on that tower. So we automatically identify all the inventory, all the equipment on that tower, it's itemized, and we also identify faults such as rust on the tower. So it's really sort of bringing more intelligence to that 3D model. And then once we've overlaid the AI analytics, is how do you consume that data? Well, it can be done in a number of ways. We can firstly provide it in a basic PDF report, which is very similar to what is done today. We can provide CSV, we can have API integrations to asset management systems. We can provide 3D CADs. So these can be exported to BIM platforms for the engineering teams to really simulate and gamify the tower models. So that just gives you a feel for the overall process. So the use cases for drones: inventory revenue assurance, understanding exactly what's on the tower and ensuring that those billing data records are correct. Engineering, giving those engineering and back office teams the ability to work with models, with 3D models, and gamify and simulate to share with prospective tenants. Quality assurance and inspection, bringing drones in to those workflows, augmenting those workflows. So we treat drone as another piece of equipment in those truck rolls. Work acceptance. So before any work is done, a drone can do a simple survey to capture that tower. Once that work is complete, the drone can then do a second flight, which will be flown in exactly the same manner. And then for a towerco, they can verify that work that's been done. And that really brings a strong operational perspective to the towercos. I mentioned the 5G site acquisition and speeding up that process, providing a digital representation of those sites. And finally, an area that we're seeing a huge demand at the moment, that's really been driven by the number of acquisitions that are going on in the towerco market. Often these acquisitions are done overseas. So a towerco in Europe may acquire assets in Africa or the US or wherever. And the challenge there is that there aren't field operations to do the audits, and there's time sensitivity around that. So using vHive's network of accredited drone pilots, we can have people, local accredited people, do that data capture, so the towercos that can then just start seeing that data feeding in from the first day of that data capture on those sites. So I hope that gives you a good introduction to vHive. We appreciate being part of the Tower Automation Alliance, and we look forward to discussions with you all about how we can support your digitization journeys.
Thank you, Rupert, for that amazing keynote that you just gave us. Thank you all for having joined us. We now can start answering the questions that we've been receiving so far. We have like 15 to 20 questions. We'll try to answer as much as possible, and as many as possible. And we'll leave the floor to any of the panel members to try to provide comprehensive answers. So we start with a question from Mohammed. I think this is specifically to Blanca. Mohammed asks, how do you plan to increase IRR on wind energy with lean towers in telecom sectors? Blanca, I don't know if you want to take the floor.
Yes, sorry, can you please repeat the question?
Yes. How do you plan to increase IRR on wind energy, which is internal return, with lean towers in telecom sectors?
Okay, so, right. So the first thing is it's all about analyzing the type of site that you're going to introduce your renewable energy into. So I think there's a lot of factors that variables that you need to consider when doing your business case. And the first thing that we do is, we normally go towards more, I would say, expensive sites. So those are normally off-grid sites that have very high diesel consumption and very high costs in terms of logistics, safety, security. And if we're looking at on-grid sites, it can be either a bad grid situation where the grid is just not reliable, it's on and off. So you see this a lot in developing countries. And if not, we're looking at countries where the price of the grid is very high. Those are the three places where you want to have, where you're going to get good payback periods. The rest is, it's a bit, it's a bit hard. It's a bit hard in terms of a business case, because it's true that everyone wants to green the network, but if the numbers don't add up, then there's just there's no room for a solution like this. So For me, it's all about, trying to find the best business case. And then obviously, once you have that business case, then you can start looking at, government support, tax breaks, and everything. That is a little bit the order in which I would look at things.
Thank you, Blanca. We have another question from Enrique that's concerning information and data security. He says Cloud Solutions has recent doubts concerning data information and security. What are your thoughts when data security is a key point for towers? And I think that can be answered by Luis, probably.
Yes, I can try. But thank you for the question, first of all. That is a quite sensitive point about the sharing of data. So obviously, I would strongly recommend that if needed, all the data can be, or not, the sensitive data can be stored on premise, if that is an option. Whether the purposes of the towerco or the MNO, or it can be anonymized before any analytics are performed. So there are a number of mechanisms to deal with these, and obviously we'll need to look more into the specific requirements and needs from each company. But so far, and based on our experience working with players as Telefonica, Telenor, and Vodafone, and all that, that is not an issue, and systems with full compliance with the requirements provided by our or the mobile network operator. I hope this answers your question. Otherwise, please let us know.
Thanks, Luis. Thanks. For questions that remain unanswered, since we're over time, we'll send the answers by email personally, and we'll share them through social media, all of them. So don't worry. Just for any towerco member or operator that's still around us, are asking how does it work, the project, the Tower Automation Alliance, and the use cases. Well, it's very simple in terms of what we need from your side to participate in one of these working groups and use cases. Is just an application with a brief description of the automation need or pain point, and then we partners can better understand the scope of the need and the pilot that needs to be developed, and how many partners can also be involved in that pilot as well. So we're more than happy to receive your concerns via email and also on our social media platforms as well. And this is very simple in terms of an application to a prototype, whether it's an autonomous drone, an IoT device, a smart lock, or a hybrid renewable solution. We're open to any discussion as well. So thank you all for joining us. We'll try to answer all the questions via email and through social media, and we'll also share the slides afterwards. So thank you all for your time, and we'll see you again in our next webinar in a date to be confirmed. So thanks again, and thank you all panel members as well for the time and for your presentations.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you.